Hey YouTubers, this is my first video that I'll be doing on my kayak and all the things that I've done to outfit it for fishing. I just got into kayak fishing because of where I live. I've been a bass fisherman my entire life. I've always owned bass boats, but right now I'm not in a position that I can have a bass boat. We live, my wife and I live in an apartment. I have no place to keep one, and I'm in Massachusetts, and there's a lot of ponds, small lakes. These guys call them ponds, and so I've decided to go the kayak route because that will give me the freedom to fish the ponds as well as fish in Plymouth Harbor, which is where we live. I don't know if you can see outside the window, the glare, but anyway. So here's the battery that I'll be using in my kayak. I watched a ton of YouTube videos and got a lot of different ideas. There was one gentleman who built a box just like this, and when I saw his video, I just thought his design was far superior to anything that I had seen, so I wanted to go with that. So I started, as you can see, with a Plano. It's just a utility box. It's watertight. It has a rubber ring on the where the lid meets the actual box, so it's it's advertised as watertight. So to keep it that way, everything that I had to drill into the box to mount got a good bit of goop and is on there with some pretty solid hardware. So let's check out the inside of the box first. I went with a Hummingbird dry cell battery. I got this on Amazon.com. It's way more battery than I'll need, but on my kayak, I will use my fish finder every time, and I will eventually have a live well / bait well, and I wanted to have enough battery that I could run those all day, even maybe a couple of days if I do a float trip, and I won't have to worry. So I started out with that Hummingbird battery. And the way I mounted this in the box is I went to Home Depot and I bought pads that are made to kneel on when you're gardening. Let me show you one here's one that I've partially hacked up. These things are really rigid foam. They're very easy to cut and mold, and they work really well, and they're cheap. I think these things are about $5 a piece, and they're about 11 by 18. So I cut one to fit the bottom exact, and the battery's sitting on that, and then I took 3 more and I glued them together to form a solid piece of foam, which I then hollowed out so that the battery sits down inside those, and that they basically form a barrier between the battery and the edge of the box. I know it's hard to tell with this poor lighting, but hopefully you get an idea of what I've done there. And so that's it. That pretty much, that battery sits in there. It's absolutely not going anywhere in any direction. And then when here's 2 more pieces cut and glued together. So when the lid closes, that puts a good bit of pressure on top of that battery and holds it down. So it's not going anywhere. And then as far as the wiring, everything is soldered, and I used heat shrink connectors, and then another piece of heat shrink over that where that was applicable, solder with heat shrink over that where that was applicable, and so the wiring should be rock solid. I should never have to worry about that. Everything has an inline fuse between the positive lead. There's 3 inline fuses in this box. One between the positive and each of the plugs, which I'll show you in a bit, and then one to the toggle, which runs the light. So let me go ahead and close this and show you. I keep a couple of spare fuses in this box, just in case. But the box closes pretty solidly. The battery's really secure. I added a light on the outside on a toggle. It just gives me a little light in the hatch where this battery sits. And when I do you'll see how this is mounted in the hatch when I do the walkthrough on my kayak. But I don't know that it's really necessary, but the gentleman who I copied had one on it, and I thought that was pretty cool, so I went ahead and put one on there too. Pretty inexpensive thing to do. And for the business end of this thing, I have two heavy-duty Perco marine switches, or plugs, excuse me. They are mounted. They come with a rubber seal, and I also put some goop between the box and the plug. So I have two of those, and as you can see, when they're not in use, they have a nice rubber seal, and then and they're real easy to plug in. I put the other end of the plug, of course, on the right now one's on the fish finder, and then when I'm going to go ahead and when I put a bait tank or live well on there, I'll have that running on a toggle switch, and I'll have all that mounted so that it can plug in basically to the motor that runs the bait well will plug into the back of the kayak, and then I won't have to do anything else. Just plug that into the kayak and then plug the other end into this battery box once it's in the kayak, and I'm ready to go. So that's pretty much it. If there is a drawback to this setup, this is pretty weighty. It probably weighs about 9.5 pounds, I would estimate, anywhere from 8 to 10 anyway. But I'm going to carry a fair amount of gear behind me. So with this sitting in front of me, I guess it might actually help balance it out. So maybe that's not a bad thing. Again, I wish that I would have remembered to mention the guy who I copied, because I really appreciate him doing his video, because I basically just stole his idea, and I hope that I did his justice. But anyway, that's the battery box for my kayak. So I'll be uploading a walkthrough tour of my kayak later this week. I haven't even used it yet. I've spent a lot of time and had a lot of fun getting everything ready to go. And the best part of all is I've convinced my wife that kayaks require special fishing equipment, so I've been able to add a ton of fishing equipment to an already pretty extensive collection. But anyway, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, just put them in the comments section. I appreciate everyone's help. Everyone who's done a video, because whether or not I copied yours directly, I probably took something away from it. And I'll be happy to return that favor in kind. So if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments section. I'll be happy to answer. And thanks for watching.